Here are 2 key stretches for snowboarders, provided to you by Jeremy Watkins. Jeremy is a strength and conditioning coach who specializes in snowboarders. He's worked with all of the Canadian top dogs, and in this session, he's going to start us off with one of the most common areas of tightness for boarders.
Most people are tight in the hips because you're so locked into whatever stance you've set, right? So one really nice hip one is just a glute stretch. So like on your back, figure 4 stretch, trying to stretch this hip, right?
Yeah.
Getting your glute to be nice and loose can help you with low back health. So if they're loose and your low back moves naturally, because it does attach there. The lower back is often like a bit of a punching bag, and that's where the symptoms come.
Yeah.
And then, but it's often not necessarily from that area. So you kind of have to look above and below it. And it's also just muscle that's really working hard while you're snowboarding. So anything that's working hard is gonna get tight. That's just the way it goes.
Okay, what's the next one?
Next one, probably a good one. So that's sort of back of the hip. Now we could go front of the hip, maybe the hip flexors. Those muscles get worked pretty hard while you're snowboarding and while you're working out in general, especially for people that spend a lot of time sitting at work, etc.
If I want to push this harder, I just flex more at my low back, or
yeah, we never really want to arch our lower back. So our lower back is arched enough as it is. We're often trying to keep it unarched. So really the goal with this one would be to push your hips forward while maintaining that lower back.
Yeah, that's something you told us the other day too, is you can get a lot more bang for your buck out of your exercises by just focusing on doing them in a better posture.
People often progress too early, and if you're progressing too early, then you have to compensate and can't do it that effectively. So just being a bit patient, and unfortunately not the most exciting strategy is just to be really, really consistent and do a few things properly rather than changing your workout every time or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a balance between staying interested, staying motivated, and being consistent to see the results, right?
All right, personal question. Do I have like the standard body archetype of what a professional snowboarder would be?
The things that attracts me to working with snowboarders so much is that there are so many of different shapes and sizes. Like you look at football players in the NFL, like you pick a position, they're all gonna look pretty similar, right? Yeah. So snowboarders, it's really cool with someone that's short and stocky can be just as successful as someone that's exactly average and just as successful as someone that's really tall and lanky. So the unfortunate reality for you is that you have long levers that you have to go and control, right? So you have to put in a bit more work than the person that's built like a gymnast and can just keep everything nice and tight. Yeah. But then you have more capacity to be more explosive as a human being because you have more absolute muscle. So there's trade-offs in everything, right?
Yeah. So if you do have big Johnnies like these, you just have to do slightly different things than the Mark, Frank, Montoya, short and stocky guys of the world.
Exactly.
If you enjoyed that, consider checking out part 1 of this series where Jeremy and I run through a workout for snowboarders. If people are in the Sea to Sky area, can they hire you?
Yeah, if you're a snowboarder, I'm always going to be keen to work with you. Yeah.
Sweet.
So I'm really keen because I know it's a bit of a touchy subject, training to be a better athlete in a sport that's where, you know, being an athlete is not necessarily the goal. So finding the balance between rigorous training and retaining the culture of snowboarding, you know. So it's a fun thing for me to do.
Well, thank you, Jer. Really appreciate it. And
glad to help.
See you guys in the next one. Every time you start talking, I just get like mesmerized. I'm like, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. Like I've never known any of this stuff. We usually just do this and I feel good on my board and I'm down.